Everybody, it's JBR3 Collector, doing something new and different this time, doing a tier list. I've never done one of these before. I've seen lots of videos of people doing them and they seem really fun. So I thought I'd give it a shot for myself. Today I am doing a tier list that I created on this website. I'll link it at the end of the video. This is ranking all the Avengers. Right now it's going to be ranking them. Basically everybody in the Marvel Universe has been an Avenger at this point. I think I added it up. It was like 180 people have been Avengers now. I wasn't going to do 180 people. So I put a cutoff date from when the Avengers assembled in 1963 or to 64 or whatever it was, all the way until they disassembled when the Scarlet Witch went crazy in like 2004, 2005. So you're not going to see any of the new Avengers like Luke Cage or Wolverine on this list, even though I love them as Avengers. Cutting that right there splits that list. Like there's like 80 more people that would be on this list if I didn't cut it off there. So this is 67 people here right on this list now. I thought that's a good length. So anyways, to start off here, our first person is Ant-Man, Hank Pym. Also Yellowjacket, Goliath, Giant Man. He's a founding member of the Avengers. So he's gonna rank really high. I think I want to put him in A. Just because he's a founding member doesn't mean he's like an absolutely essential member of the team. And by the way, I'm a toy collector, so I figured this might also help people like determine who they should put with their Avengers on their toy shelves, like who's most priority to put with your Avengers on the toy shelf. So that this will help some people. Second up here is, and feel free to let me know in the comments how wrong I am about where I place people. Okay, I'm totally cool with that comments. I'll like to have a little argument with me in the comments, but we'll go from there. Next up, looks like it is Scott Lang, Ant-Man, who didn't join the Avengers until 2003 or 2004 and then died and disassembled. He's not going to rank very high, but he has a big name Avenger now because of the movies and stuff, so he's not going to rank super low, but I'll put him in C for now. Next up is the Beast. Beast, he's more known as an X-Man. Personally, I actually liked him more as an Avenger than I did as an X-Man. He was a goofball. He was fun. I'll put him as B for now. I think Beast is a pretty great fit with the Avengers, actually. See who's next. It is, the Black Knight. Personally, one of my favorite Avengers. But I'm not going by favorites here. I'm going by, I'm trying to be as subjective as possible, or objective. Whichever one means I'm not biased. I'm trying to be as unbiased as possible. He was a leader of the Avengers for a while. He was on the team off and on for like 30 years. So, and I know he was recently on the Savage Avengers. It's either going to be A or B. I could always change this around at the end, but I'll put him in A for now. He might go down to B, just because he doesn't have a whole lot of media appearances other than the comics with the Avengers. So, next up is going to be the Black Panther, who's easily going to go in A. I mean, everyone knows the Black Panther at this point now. He's been on the Avengers since, the 60s. He was I think the 8th or 9th member to join the team. So he's pretty high ranking here. Black Panther. Next up is the Black Widow, who didn't join until the mid 70s. And she was also leader of the Avengers for a while. And then the movies really boosted her popularity in the cartoons. I'll put her in A. Personally, if I was to go by personal bias, I'd put her down in B, actually. But A is probably where most people would put her. and that's probably where she belongs. Next up, looks like it's Captain America, and it is. Captain America's going straight to the top. I mean, do you really have the Avengers if you don't have Captain America? I mean, he was the 6th member to join the team. He's considered a founding member, even though he wasn't actually a founding member. I think he's pretty important. Definitely must have on your Avengers collection. Your collection is not complete if Captain America is not on that team. Next up is the first female Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau. Personally, my favorite Captain Marvel. I wish we had a Marvel Legend of her. Really bad, actually. I'll put her in B, just because, even though she was a leader of the team for a little while, she's not she's in the MCU now, but not a whole ton of appearances. Cool character. She's just not quite on the level of like Black Panther and Black Widow and, a founding member, Hank Pym. So I'll put her in B. Next up is Captain Marvel, who is more of an honorary member of the team. He never actually was officially an Avenger, but he helped the team out enough times to be considered an honorary member. Because he's not an official member, put him in C. But he's such an influential character in the Marvel Universe. So he's kind of course, gonna have crossovers with the Avengers a lot. He's been dead for a long time now, but I'll put him in C. After that is Crystal, who joined the Avengers in the 90s. I like that costume. I would like to have a Crystal Marvel Legend as well. She's way more influential for the Inhumans. She'd be an S tier for the Inhumans, but for the Avengers, she'll go in C. Even though I really want her as a toy, she's not a super important Avenger. Next up is Darkhawk, who was on the West Coast Avengers in the 90s. He did not have a very long tenure with the West Coast Avengers. I think he was also on Avengers Academy in the late 2000s. Loved him as a character. I think he's a really cool design. I'm actually going to put him in D because I think he's really unessential for an Avengers collection. So next up is Deathcry, another honorary Avenger who was really not around for very long. She's also going to go in D. I wish I actually should have another category so I could put her lower than Darkhawk, but that's fine. Next up is Demolition Man, and comedy character, one of the only homeless superheroes. Definitely not a high-ranking Avenger. I'll put him in D as well, but I'd actually rank him higher than both the other people in D. But he's not as high as Crystal or Captain Marvel or Scott Lang, so D. We really need a Marvel Legend of him. Some people use the Walgreens Daredevil with a Wolverine head on it for him, and it works, but it should be a lot larger, really. Next up is the Falcon. And Falcon, he's been an Avenger off and on since the 70s as well. Captain America's sidekick. Fantastic character. Lots of media appearances because of the cartoons and the movies. Really hard to choose. I wish we had this costume in modern Marvel Legends as well. I'm gonna put him in A just because I feel like that's where most people would put him at. But really, I think he really he might belong more in B, because I think he's on the same level as Monica Rambeau and as in continuity wise. I'll put him in A just because he has more media appearances, and he's more people know Falcon now as an Avenger. After that is Dr. Druid. Some people argue he is the worst, one of the worst Avengers ever. I'm not going to disagree with them. I'll put him in D. Again, someone we need a Marvel Legend of. And I think he does rank higher than everyone else in D there. But really, he's really not a very good hero. Especially not as an Avenger. Firebird. Another character we need in Marvel Legends form. She was part of the West Coast Avengers, I believe, for a little while. Um, Again, not a very influential, not a huge member of the team, but bigger than the people in D for sure. Probably about the same level as Crystal. So I'll put her in C. Really would love to have an action figure of her. And then Firestar, I'll also put in C. We need this costume for Firestar. That's her Avengers costume. She joined the Avengers in the late 90s and, has been off and on the Avengers. So one of she was the third member of the not the Inhumans, the New Warriors to become an Avenger. So that's pretty cool. And then we have the Forgotten One, Gilgamesh. The Forgotten One should probably stay forgotten and go in D. I don't think he lasted on the team for a super long time. I would love to have a figure of him in this look right here. That'd be pretty great, but he's not super essential, not super needed. Still be really cool to have, though. The next up is Hawkeye. Arguably one of the greatest Avengers of all time. There's an argument to be made that he belongs in S, but if Hank Pym's not an S, then Hawkeye is not going to be an S. But Hawkeye is definitely a high-ranking Avenger. He's really, really great. He's lead of the West Coast Avengers for a long time. I'll keep him an A for now. Maybe we might move him up later. We'll see. Next after him is... this is the Guardians of the Galaxy 3000. The future Guardians of the Galaxy. They teamed up with the Avengers and the Defenders a lot back in the 70s and 80s. Enough to get honorable memberships to both of those teams. They teamed up with them a lot. So I'm probably actually going to put them in C. That's the whole team there. As a team, they'll go and see. If they were individual choices there, I'd put them in D. But as a whole team there, like that was they teamed up the Avengers enough to really belong there, I believe. Next up is Hellcat. Hellcat was not on the Avengers for very long. She chose the Defenders over the Avengers, actually. Beast appear in B category, and Wonder Man actually helped her choose her superhero identity. I think I'll put her in C as well. And by the way, we definitely need the Guardians in action figure form too. We have Vance Astro, but that's it. We need the rest of the team. Hercules is going straight up to A. Just like Black Knight, not a lot of media appearances, but he's been a member of the Avengers for so long. And he's one of my favorite Avengers. He's a really cool character. Had a great action figure come out last year. I think Hercules is definitely an A-list Avenger. I think he was he was Avenger before Black Panther was. This was probably the eighth event. No, probably like the 10th Avenger. I think Black Panther probably been the 11th or 12th. So Hercules is a really early on member of the team, and he stuck on the team all the way to this day. So definitely worthy for A, I believe. This is gonna be a controversial one. This is the Hulk. Now the Hulk was only an Avenger for the first 2 issues, and then he left. And the Hulk did not rejoin the Avengers until like 2010. But in multimedia, he's always like a member of the team, like in cartoons and the movies. But I always consider Hulk more of a defender than an Avenger. So I'm actually going to put him in B. It's still a high rank for someone who's only on the team for literally a handful of years. Hulk's been around for 60 years now, and he's only an Avenger for maybe a total of 15 years, if even that. Probably less than that, more like 10 years. So I mean, he's done good things with the team, but I consider him much more of a defender than an Avenger. Then we got the Android Human Torch, who's on the West Coast Avengers. We really need an action figure of him too. I mean, you can use the Marvel Select's head on the new one's body, on the new Human Torch's body. He was not on the team for very long. Put him in D. No hate towards Human Torch. It's just he wasn't a member of the Avengers very long, so he wasn't super influential. So after him, we're gonna go with, this is both Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman. They were on the team in the late 80s, early 90s, when the Fantastic Four were kind of split up a little bit. So I just put them both in one category here because they're going to be on the same level. I'm going to put them in D as well. They didn't do much on the team. They were only around for a little while. They were on the same team as Gilgamesh, actually, so that's fitting. After them is Iron Man, who's going straight to the top. He's Iron Man. Everyone knows Iron Man. Everyone knows Iron Man's an Avenger. He was a founding member of the Avengers. Arguably, the team wouldn't exist without him. So, yeah, Iron Man's definitely belongs in S. It's arguable between Captain America and Iron Man between who's the greatest Avenger of all time. So, next up is Justice. Put Justice in C alongside Firestar there. Let me put her next to them. There we go. They're on the team for the same amount of time, essentially. And they're both new warriors that joined the Avengers in the late 90s, early 2000s. And, you got to keep that couple together. They're pretty cool, pretty good members of the team, I thought. Living Lightning, who's a long-time member of the team. I think he was in the West Coast Avengers as well. He's pretty cool. We really need an action figure for him. We need an action figure of Justice as well. But really, really not influential at all. Most people don't even know who he is. I'll put him in D. Really, really, really want an action figure of Living Lightning, though. Next up is Lionheart, who's also going straight to D. Not on the team for very long. Cool design, but even I don't know much about this character. I know she's also known as Captain Britain as well. So, you can put her in D. I don't think anyone's going to argue that. She was really not on the team for very long. Really had not a huge influence at all. Machine Man, also going to go to D. Machine Man's really cool. He's just, not a super influential character. He's on the West Coast Avengers mostly. Teamed up with the regular Avengers a couple times as well. I remember he fought Taskmaster with them one time. But yeah, he's just not a big member of the team, so he doesn't get a high ranking. Then we got Mantis, who's definitely going to D. Another one of the arguable worst Avengers of all time. At the time in the 70s, the comic creator was obsessed with Mantis and tried to get her to be with everybody, and this was not a good idea. Rubbed a lot of people the wrong way. So I would say Mantis is definitely a D list Avenger. And then we got Mockingbird, who I'm going to put up here in B, alongside Hawkeye on the West Coast Avengers. She's been an Avenger for a while. She was on the new Avengers as well, wearing a different costume. We really need a classic Mockingbird and a classic Mantis and a Lionheart. Sorry, I'm getting off track here. She's not a super highly influential member of the team, but she had enough of an impact, I think, that she belongs in B. She definitely belongs above the ones in C there, so mostly because of her time on the West Coast Avengers alone puts her in B. This is definitely a D list. That's Moira Brandon, I believe is her last name. She's Hawkeye's aunt, who was a reserve member of or an honorary member of the West Coast Avengers. Yeah, that's one. We could do with or without an action figure. And then we got Edwin Jarvis, the janitor of the Avengers, Tony Stark's butler. Not the janitor, butler. I'll actually put him in C. Even though I remember the story where he was forced to betray the Avengers to the Masters of Evil in the 60s, and that's kind of a ridiculous story, but I think he's influential enough to get a C ranking. I mean, everyone knows Jarvis in the movies. He's a robot in the movies, but, their butler, that's good enough. Moondragon is going to D. Love the character. Really, really, really want an action figure of her. I have to buy a lot of figures of her for the Defenders, the Avengers, the Infinity Watch. But she wasn't on the team for very long. She was more of a reserve member, essentially. I think she felt like she was too high and mighty to be a part of the Avengers, so she didn't last very long, but she's a cool character. Moon Knight. Remember the West Coast Avengers, remember the Secret Avengers. Not a very long time member of either. I love Moon Knight. I'd love to put him in higher ranking, but because he was not a long time member, I'll put him in C, because even though I didn't read Secret Avengers, I know he was a part of Secret Avengers, and that was a pretty good run. And West Coast Avengers was fun, even though he wasn't there for very long. And he's just a really cool character. I'll put him in C, especially with his upcoming TV show. His ranking, people are really gonna be Moon Knight crazy soon. Next after him is Marina, another honorary member. We need a figure of her as well. She was an honorary member. She helped the team out a few times when Neymar joined the team. So she gets a D ranking because she was really not official member at all, and she was really not important at all onto the team. They got Neymar himself, who's gonna go in C. One of the biggest Marvel characters at the time in the 60s, didn't join the Avengers until the 80s, and was really not part of the team for very long. So he's middle of the pack there. But he's still Namor the Submariner, so he's still a big deal. Again, also more of a defender than an Avenger, so yeah, we'll put him in C. Next up is Miss Marvel, Carol Danvers, also known as Warbird or Binary or Captain Marvel now. I would put her a bit higher. Let me scroll up here. I'll put her in A. She's been a long time member of the team. She's been a leader of the Avengers when she was Captain Marvel. One of the most powerful Avengers for sure. Yeah, definitely gets a high ranking. We really need a classic action figure of her. We have the Warbird look. It's great. Like a classic Captain Marvel. Miss Marvel. But yeah, she totally belongs in A. Along with those other members there. You look at that A list there, and that's a pretty good group of heroes, I'd say. Next up is Jack of Hearts, who's going straight to D. Another member he joined like 96, I think, and then he died and disassembled. He blew up and he killed a lot of people. Really not a great hero. Would love an action figure of him. He was in my top 10 wish list of figures I want to see this next year. But yeah, not very important at all to the Avengers. Then it's like Quasar. I put Quasar in C. Again, not a long time lasting member of the team, but long enough that he had a good enough impact on the team. He was kind of a big deal in the 80s and 90s as a pretty not mainstream, but he has his own comic run, and then he's been a big influence in the cosmic universe. If Captain Marvel is going to be in here on this level, then Quasar is going to be at least in the same level as Captain Marvel. So then we got Rage, who's going to go straight to D. Rage is funny. He's a kid whose powers turn him into... He's like Shazam. He turns into an adult-sized guy when he... But he's only on the Avengers for a very short time. They kicked him off because they found out he was a child. Or a kid, a teenager, or whatever. And it makes no sense, because in the future, they end up letting, Sam Alexander-Nova and Miles Morales and Kamala Khan and all them who are also kids be on the team. So poor Rage got kicked off for no reason for being a kid when other people get to be on the team and be a kid. You know, you're not going to see those other members, the Miss Marvel or Miles Morales or anything on this list because they joined way, way later. So after Disassembled, that's where our cutoff date is. So yeah, Rage, he gets a D list. Poor guy really got screwed out of his tenure as an Avenger there. And then we got Rick Jones. I'll put Rick Jones C or B. C, just because he's not an actual hero. But the Avengers might not have... The Avengers probably wouldn't exist if it wasn't for Rick Jones. Rick Jones is like my number one most wanted civilian character for the Marvel Legends line. He's so influential in the Marvel Universe. He helped form the Avengers because of the Teen Brigade. Can't talk, sorry. And he was best friends to the Hulk. And yeah, it's kind of crazy we haven't gotten a Rick Jones figure. And it's kind of crazy that the Avengers probably wouldn't have existed if it wasn't for Teen Brigade and Rick Jones. Quicksilver, he'll go pretty high. Quicksilver will go in B. Just because he's always changing alliances a lot. He's always going from Avengers to Brotherhood to X-Factor to whatever. His sister will definitely be higher than him. But he's definitely a solid B tier Avenger, I think. He was part of Cap's kooky quartet alongside Hawkeye, Scarlet Witch, and Captain America. So yeah, Quicksilver, he's definitely essential. I wouldn't say he's essential, but he's high ranking. He's pretty up there at least. Okay, so let's go back. Sandman going straight to D. Again, not a very long-term Avenger. He got Captain America and Spider-Man vouched for him to join the team. He stuck around for a little bit. But really, he was back to being a bad guy in no time, pretty much. Scarlet Witch, she'll go up here, not to B. She'll go an A here. She's been in like most of the Avengers movies now. She's been lots of cartoons and God, she was so awful in Avengers United They Stand back in the 90s. That was such an awful cartoon. Her accent was so bad. She's actually the one that's responsible for the Disassembled event that is our cutoff for this. She's been on the team for so long. She's definitely more loyal to the Avengers than her brother is, so she gets an A list. Pretty much almost as essential as you can get for the Avengers. Then we have current movie star Cersei. She was in the Eternals movie, one of the main characters in the Eternals movie. I'm gonna give her a C spot. We definitely need a Cersei figure as well. Preferably in her green costume. This red and black one's good for the Avengers, but her green one's really good for the Eternals. And she wore the green on the Avengers as well, so preferably her green costume. But, she was on the team for quite a while in the 80s and 90s. She was on that team that had the cool leather jackets like Crystal there and Black Knight and Hercules and Captain America and Black Widow. Pretty female-centric team, actually. She's cool, she's one of 3 Eternals to ever be on the Avengers. So that's also pretty cool fact about her. But yeah, not a whole lot to say. She's not essential, but she's not a D-lister by any means. So now we got White Claws, I think. Silver Claw, sorry. She's definitely a D-list character. Definitely not a long-lasting Avenger. She's for a few, maybe a year in the 90s. The Avengers has a lot of cat-themed characters, I've realized. Yeah, I'd love to have an action figure of her as well. I want action figures of everybody, in case you can't tell. But yeah, she's definitely not an important Avenger by any means. Then we got She-Hulk, who I'll put in the same level as her cousin, the Hulk. She was a member of the Avengers for a lot longer than the Hulk. She's almost an A-lister. It's just that I feel like there's more characters that are more essential than her. So that's the only reason she's not an A-lister. But she's, She-Hulk. She's really cool, really great character. Can't wait till she gets a new updated Marvel Legend in her classic look. And gets her own TV show soon. That'll be fun. Then we got Spider-Man going to see. Just because Spider-Man is a lot more famous as a solo hero. He belongs more by himself. And he was only on the Avengers for like a very, very short time, a couple issues in the early 90s. And then he left and then didn't join again until the new Avengers. Now, if we did have the other new Avengers in here, maybe he'd rank a little higher. Maybe he'd be a B-lister. I just don't think Spider-Man's essential for an Avengers team. He's much more a solo guy, I believe. So next up is Spider-Woman, Julia Carpenter, the second Spider-Woman, but the first one to join the Avengers. The second one didn't join until Jessica Drew didn't join until New Avengers in 2005, 2006. But then that was a Skrull, so she actually didn't join until like 2008, something like that. So she's not on this list because of that. But Julia Carpenter, longtime member of the West Coast Avengers and Force Works, and I mean, she's cool. Definitely not essential, but good high ranking there. Not high ranking, but C. You could almost argue her for B, but I'd put her. I'd say she's more essential than Spider-Man, really, but yeah, I think I'm gonna move her to. Now, see, I really need another section here, so I can have her higher than Spider-Man but lower than She-Hulk. But no, C's good enough. That's close enough. Star Fox. He was just played by Harry Styles in the Eternals movie. He's I'll put him in C. I might get some hate for that. He's She-Hulk's boyfriend for a long time. His powers, he's kind of a rapey character. His powers, he makes people attracted to him by emitting pheromones. And that really throws a lot of people off. He's the brother of Thanos. I'll put him in D just because I know people are really unhappy. Oh, I can't. Oh, there you go. People really don't like Star Fox anymore. I guess he really didn't have that huge of an impact as an Avenger. But yeah, D. We got Stingray. Personally, like one of my number one most wanted characters in action figure form. Star Fox is up there too, but Stingray, really, really, really want a Stingray figure. Sadly, he's really a D-list Avenger. He helped the team out when they needed they needed a base to stay at. He let them stay at his Hydro base. But otherwise, he really did nothing of importance on the Avengers. I think he has a really cool design. And then there's the Thing, who was on the West Coast Avengers while the Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman were on the main Avengers. Johnny Storm Human Torch did not join the Avengers until like 2012, 2013, something like that. It's kind of funny it took him so long to join. But the Thing, he was not on the team for super long. He joined again with the New Avengers run. So with him being on the New Avengers, I think that gives him a little bit as well. I think it gives him a little bit of an edge over Sue and Reed. But he's basically on the D list. It's hard to put the Thing on the D list though, because he was on the New Avengers and the West Coast Avengers. But he's going to go on the D list anyways, because it just wasn't long enough, I don't think, for it to really count. So, and here we go. Here's another S tier. It's Thor. I gotta scroll up to get to the S tier here. Thor, the God of Thunder. Come on, Thor. I mean, he's the God of Thunder. He's one of the founding members of the Avengers. Definitely belongs on the team. See, on my S tier here, the absolutely must-have essential Avengers are the big three. I think that is a solid choice there. I don't think anyone can argue that those three are the most essential characters for the Avengers. Hands down, Thor, Captain America, and Iron Man. Because of not just based on the comics alone, it'd be those three, but even taking in outside sources like cartoons and comic and video games and movies, and yeah, there's definitely no higher ranking Avenger than Captain America, Thor, and Iron Man. Absolutely. Yeah, not much else to say about that. Thor is definitely a high-ranking Avenger. Stay down there, Living Lightning. Tigra, I'm actually going to put her not in C, but in B. Come on. It's really hard to move these characters once I put them in a spot. There you go. Another cat-themed Marvel character on the Avengers. But she was on the team a lot longer than most of the other cat-themed characters. She was on the Avengers and the West Coast Avengers. She was on the Avengers again during Civil War. She chose to be... She wasn't on the Mighty Avengers, but she teamed up with them a lot. Her figure we got last year could have been so great. They just made the colors so off. But yeah, she's definitely a B-list Avenger, I would say. Not absolutely essential, but pretty high up there. And then we go Thunderstrike. Yeah, absolutely a D-list character. He was on the team for a very short time. He was Thor for a while in the late 80s and early 90s. But as Thunderstrike himself, he didn't do a whole lot, and then he died. So, and then there's Triathlon, who I really want a toy of too, but you know, he's also known as the 3D Man. He was on the Avengers in the late 90s. Pretty sure he died and disassembled, and I don't think he ever came back. So, yep. Two Gun Kid. Yep. I mean, he had to come forward in time to become a member of the Avengers. He's a past superhero from the Wild West days, so he doesn't really team up with them a whole lot, but he did get official membership. He wasn't just an honorary member or anything, so you know, he makes the list, but very, very low. Love to have a figure of him, but not an essential Avenger by any means. The Swordsman, another one of the arguable worst Avengers ever. I really wish I had another category here so I can put, even though Mantis is really bad, she deserves to be above some of these other losers on this list. Swordsman is on the same level as Mantis essentially, but I'm actually going to put him higher than Mantis. He joined the Avengers like 3 different times, and 2 of those times he was an infiltrator. He was pretending to be a member of the team to get to help out the bad guys essentially. And I mean, he was the 5th member of Cap's quirky quartet in the 60s, but he didn't last very long because he was definitely infiltrating the Avengers. So yeah, he's not too important, but I think I'm putting him in C anyways. I think he's important enough to get a C ranking at least. We got U.S. Agent. I am going to put in B. Come on, U.S. Agent. Just because of his time on the West Coast Avengers. It won't let me move him. There you go. His time on the West Coast Avengers. He just got a big MCU appearance in Falcon the Winter Soldier. So, people are going to be going crazy for him soon. So I think he's at least a B. He probably belongs more in C. But I do think he ranks higher than most of the people in the C category there. So, yeah, B for sure for Mr. John Walker, Captain America, U.S. Agent. So, then we got a big gun here. We got the Vision. We're going to move him pretty high right here next to Scarlet Witch. Come on, Vision. I really can. I'm having a hard time moving this guy. Anyways, he's Vision. He's been a member of the Avengers since the 60s. White Vision in the picture, he's more of a West Coast Avenger, but he's also on the Avengers, on the main Avengers as White Vision as well. I don't know why I cannot move him. Oh, I just had it. There you go. But yeah, definitely an A-list Avenger. You can even argue him as a S-list, but definitely A-list Avenger for sure. One of the more essential characters for an Avengers display. Stay there, Living Lightning. God. Then we got War Machine, who I'm also going to put alongside U.S. Agent. Again, because of his MCU influence and his time on the West Coast Avengers. And those two are definitely better, U.S. Agent's a secondary Captain America. War Machine's a secondary Iron Man. They definitely are better at being secondary versions of those characters than like Thunderstrike is for being Thor. So, yeah, B-list. Plus, he was also, James Rhodes was also Iron Man for a while, back in the 80s and late 70s, I think. So he was definitely a member of the Avengers for quite a while. So, yeah, I think he deserves the B spot. I think A could be arguable, actually, even. Wasp, definitely Wasp is definitely an A-list Avenger. If I can get her to move. Because she is the first female to ever join the Avengers. She's a founding member of the team. She was a leader of the Avengers for a long time. I think her, more than anyone else on the A-list there, is the most, arguable to be put in S tier. Wasp is a huge influential member of the Avengers. Definitely belongs really high up there. Definitely pretty essential for your Avengers collection. I'd say she's even more essential than Giant Man is, an Ant-Man, Giant Man. So, but not as much as Captain America, Thor, Iron Man. So, do with that what you will. Wasp is definitely a high-ranking member of the Avengers. Then we got the Wizard. D, definitely D. Would love to have an action figure of him. He's more of a defender, not a defender, an invader, and a all-winner squad member, but he's an honorary Avenger, so he gets put on this list. And I'll skip one person and go straight to Yellowjacket, Rita Yellowjacket. She was also a member of the Masters of Evil and the Defenders and the Guardians of the Galaxy. She's also an honorary Avenger. And yeah, she doesn't do much on the Avengers. Although I figure if her once again, I'd buy a whole bunch of her because she's on all these teams. But yeah, she's not very influential member by any means. More influential as a villain than she is as a hero. So yeah. And then we're going to start and we're going to end the list with another very high-ranking Avenger. This guy has no movie appearances, very few comic appearances. Not few, but he hasn't been. He was in Avengers United They Stand cartoon. He was in Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes. He never got to become a hero in that show. He was a part of the Avengers for a long time, from the 60s off and on through, or I think it was the 70s actually. He was dead for almost 10 years and then he came back. Wonder Man's most famous for dying and coming back. He's like the most commonly killed Avenger, even though he's a super, super powerful character. But yeah, so Wonder Man definitely gets an A-list spot there. Longtime member of the West Coast Avengers as well. He's been a villain. He's been a hero. He's pretty cool character. Definitely needs a new action figure too. But yeah, I'd definitely call him an A-list character. So let's go over the list one more time. S tier, you get the big three: Iron Man, Captain America, and Thor. The A-list Avengers, we got Hank Pym as Ant-Man, Giant Man, Yellowjacket, and Goliath. You can even throw in him as the Wasp in there if you want as well. We got the Black Knight, the Black Panther, the Black Widow, Falcon, Hawkeye, Hercules, Miss Marvel, Scarlet Witch, the Vision, Wasp, and Wonder Man as the A-listers. B-listers, we got the Beast, we got Captain Marvel, Monica Rambeau, also Photon, Spectrum, whatever. The Incredible Hulk, Mockingbird, Quicksilver, the She-Hulk, Tigra, U.S. Agent, and War Machine. C-list Avengers here. We got Scott Lang, Ant-Man, Captain Marvel, Crystal from the Inhumans, Firebird, Neymar, the King of Atlantis, Firestar and Justice from the New Warriors, Hellcat, the Guardians of the Galaxy, Edwin Jarvis, Moon Knight, Quasar, Rick Jones, Cersei, Spider-Man, Spider-Woman, and the Swordsman. And then the bottom tier, the D-list Avengers, we got Darkhawk, Deathcry, Demolition Man, Dr. Druid, the Forgotten One Gilgamesh, the Android Human Torch, Mr. Fantastic and Invisible Woman, The Thing, Living Lightning, Star Fox, Machine Man, Lionheart, Mantis, Moira Brandon, Moondragon, Marina, Jack of Hearts, Rage, Sandman, Silverclaw, Stingray, Thunderstrike, Triathlon, Two Gun Kid, The Wizard, and Yellowjacket, Rita. So yeah, let me know what you guys think of this list, of this tier ranking. Argue with me in the comments. Tell me how wrong I am about putting your favorite character in the wrong spot. I'm sure the Hulk's really going to piss some people off. And let me know. I can always edit this thing, and I can add the other Avengers who have joined from the new Avengers on. I just thought that'd be a really long video. I mean, this is already a 50-minute video. But that would have been a super long video. It's 180 characters. I can add them in, and we can continue this list and put them in spots. I can promise you, though, there's not going to be any more S tier members added. Maybe a couple A-listers added, but definitely not any more S tiers. A lot of D-listers. So, but let me know what you guys want me to do. Let me know if you guys enjoyed this video. I had fun doing this. I thought it was pretty fun ranking everybody. I hope this helps people with their collections and stuff too, you know. So it helps you decide where to put characters in your collection. So anyways, if you guys like this video, please comment, like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, I guess. I don't know, I don't post often enough to really hit for that to matter, but just let me know what you guys' thoughts. That's all I really care about right now. And thank you guys for watching.